My name is Brother Savion Curd, also known as Savvy GQ, and today we're going to talk about the shooting of Mike Brown and how it all ended up coming to a resolution. My name is Brother Savion Curd, also known as Savvy GQ, and today we're going to talk about the Mike Brown shooting and the final results of the court case. And since it's something that really touched us because Mike Brown, it could have been my brother, it could have been my older brother, it could have been my cousin. That's something that really touched all of us. And we're going to talk about the results here today. And before we talk about the riots and everything, I just want to talk to my brothers about how they feel about the whole situation.
Man, okay, I'll go first. This is ridiculous. I mean, it don't take 108 days to come up with what you decide. It only takes that long to make a reason why to come up with an excuse why he's not guilty, So, yeah, you're right, it could have been anybody, but I agree with them rioting, but I'm not going to take part in it because I'm not trying to go to jail. That's not me. So, if they say rioting isn't going to accomplish anything, I mean, yeah, it's going to accomplish everything. It's going to let them know that we're not here to be toyed with or we serious or, because there's rioting, it's not only in Ferguson, it's in San Francisco, all over the U.S. And today, right now, as we speak, they're having a march from Ferguson to St. Jefferson. So that shows that we're done with the judicial system and the way that they're doing things. I mean, 5,000 people, Americans, have been killed by police since 9/11. That's more than terrorists have killed Americans. And one dude killed a police dog. Guess how many years he got?
I mean,
Guess. He got 23 years. What the dude that killed Mike Brown get? Zero. He off for free. So I think they taking advantage of us African Americans and us brothers, showing that we're not about nothing and we're below the judicial system.
I agree with everything that you said, except the part where you said the rioting is good. The rioting is doing nothing but it's not helping our cause as a people. Us acting violently we're doing what they expect us to do. Instead of defining stereotypes and defining what they want us to do, we should flip that and we should create a different perspective about what us African Americans are. We aren't the type to just retaliate with violence and see that as our only option. Doing the peaceful protest will be redefining stereotypes of African Americans, and I think that's what the family had in mind. But us reacting with violence really isn't going to solve anything.
I mean, look, yeah, Martin Luther King, I give him all credits and everything. He did non-violent marches, but it lasted for a couple of years, but they still taking advantage of us. So what else is there to do? And show them that we're not serious, that we serious and we're not here to be taken advantage of.
Violent marches and resorting to violence is only going to result in more violence. What is going to result in more people getting killed, and it's just not going to be good either way. So the peaceful protest is the way to go because it reduces violence and the amount of people getting killed, and it's just a better option than violence.
This is how I feel, man. Because we've been doing peaceful protests for years, but the way I feel, it's two things that are like really powerful that we can do, and it's what we're not doing. One thing is that we gotta vote, because in Ferguson, it's a majority of black people, but the people that run the government, the mayor over there is white, the people in the school system is white, because the black people are voting. So how can we expect a change if we're not voting to put people, not just black people, but minorities, on a pedestal to make changes? Also, I also want to talk about the, what's it? Yeah, in St. Louis, they were in the mall, right? And It's called, I'm not gonna say the name because it may not be appropriate for the show, but it's called Shut Ish Down. So they were in the mall, and this is the way to do it because it was on Black Friday, and you know they were going around the mall, and then when that hour hit, they're like shut it down, and all the stores started to close, and then that just hurt the mall. Like all these companies had to shut down, and they weren't getting any income, and so we get, you know, when you're losing all this sums of money and stuff, that's when people are gonna look at it like, dang, maybe we should change the way that we come out with these final results when we have a young brother killed like this. You know? But what do you think?
You know, that's you know, when you said that everyone should vote, you know, I believe that that's a great thing for us to do. But I think we're avoiding something here. You know, I think we're really avoiding something here, and I think that something is that we can't change the law. You know, my dad is a police officer. You know, he's a great guy. He's helped a lot of people. I love him to death. You know, I know a lot of great police officers down here in Dallas. You know, they're great people. You never would expect them to be a cop if you just saw them in their regular, you know, day clothes. And one thing he told me is the guy with the badge is always going to win. You know, as much as we want to sit here, we want to riot, you know, the guy with the badge is always going to win. But the only way that we can really change all of this is that we reach out to our youth. Like I said, we are the future. You know, one thing I talked about in my book is how to stop racism. I talked about 5-0. And one of the things I talked about is I said, the only way you can stop racism is by stop talking about it. You know, I'm not going to refer to him as a white man. You're not going to refer to me as a black man. You're going to refer to me as Andre Mills. I'm going to refer to him as his name. You're not going to look at me any differently. You know, we can sit here and say, don't judge a book by its cover. You know, it's really easy to do, but we do it all the time. Even as black people, we do it. You know, I think the one thing we really have to look at is ourselves. You know, we have to look at it as like, what are we doing with our youth? What are we doing in our community? How are we reaching out to our younger girls about, you know, safe sex? How are we reaching out to our young men about safe sex and how to treat our women? How to respect the laws? How to dress? You know, one of the things is a lot of people in the business world notice about my haircut. You know, it's not really your typical business style of hair. But I did it because I want people to know that it's not about the way you look, it's not how you look, it's not how you necessarily dress, but in a way it's about what you do and how you do it. And I believe that hair sets a personality. I don't believe sagging your pants defines personality. You know, if you're dressed a certain way, you know, you're walking down the street, the police going to 9 times out of 10 going to come up to you before he comes up to the guy in the business suit. You know, that's just facts. That's just the way it works. Not telling everyone they need to wear a business suit in order to necessarily not get harassed by the cops. You know what I mean? When summertime hit, I ain't trying to have no suit on, I'm just saying. But, you know, that's just facts right there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the person with the badge will win. And that's one thing that people need to realize. I mean, the Ferguson situation, I mean, the people should protest because they can get their voice out a little bit. But I mean, they can do it in a peaceful way. I mean, protests don't always have to be violent. So protest, like if you want to avoid the killing and stuff, do it in a peaceful way. You'll get your word out and it'll save a lot of the violence. Now, I mean, we have to look back at like what Mike Brown did. I mean, like you shouldn't put yourself in that situation either, because like putting yourself in that situation causes all this to happen. Now, I mean, the police probably did go a little too far with the punishment, but I mean, what could have avoided this? He could have just went on and listened to the cop when he said do what he should have did. So I mean, that's really the start of it.
I agree with Jabari. Like, black people shouldn't put themselves in a situation where the cops can react badly towards them. And when something does go wrong like this, the protest can't be violent. That's what they want us to do. If we do it peacefully, maybe we can change something.
I also agree with you, Subway, because what they want us to do is protest violently so they can become more violent towards us, so they can limit our power, so they can limit what we can do, how we can respond, so they can lock us down. But if we think smart about it, we protest peacefully, or we walk around with cameras and always have a witness, because most of the times it's always the cop's word against your word. The witness, they don't really listen to them, and even if it's one witness, they don't really listen. That's why you gotta have a camera. But even if you have a camera, they can't tell you what you did wrong for the cop to react that way. That's why it was such a big deal between why the cop shot him and what did he do, because there was no witnesses and there was no cameras.
Look, I want to bring it back to what Andre said. He said, you know, the man with the badge always wins. But, you know, it's the difference between, there's two different police officers. There's the one that does their duty, they do their job, they handle the situations they get put in responsibly. Then they got crooked cops. And, you know, the ones on this side, they're doing what they got to do, so they're going to win. They're supposed to win. That's justice. But if you're a crooked cop, we ain't going to let you win. Because that's not how it's supposed to be handled. If you're in a situation, because you stole a pack of Swishers, 99-cent Swishers, you're going to shoot them 12 times. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, police are given firearms because when they're put in a situation where they feel intimidated, so then they're able to use their weapons. But over a pack of Swishers, it doesn't sound that intimidating to me. But, you know, before we get too heated, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to have Doc D bring us out, and then we're going to continue to the talent segment.
Yeah, hey man, hold on, real quick on the commercial break. I mean, one thing is that I told you, like, the people, they shouldn't put themselves in a situation. Remember, like, the police might take it too far, but to solve all that, we should just keep ourselves out of the situation. Like, just chill back, like, listen to them. Like, the law will win. So, like he said, DJ Doc D, take us out.